Okay, hi everyone, Daryl here. I got this question from someone. He actually emailed me. This person is actually asking what is the expected impact of URA's new guidelines for new condominiums? Okay, so just a brief outlook. What we're going to do is that I actually had this article written in a blog, but what I'll do is that I'll just do a video. I guess some people just prefer videos. Okay, let's take a look at what actually happened and what was actually implemented uh, for URA's new guidelines. Okay, what happened was that an announcement was made on the 17th of October 2018, which was just a couple of weeks ago. Today's the 30th, so that was about 2 weeks ago. URA actually came out with new guidelines for new condominiums, and they actually gave developers like 3 months. So the actual new guidelines will take effect from 17th of January 2019. That means that any submission that the developers do from now till 17th of January 2019, the new guidelines will not be affected. But moving forward, anything that is actually submitted to URA for approval from the 17th of January onwards, right, they will be affected by the new guidelines. Okay, so what are the new guidelines? The first new guideline is that URA is actually lowering the maximum number of dwelling units allowed in developments outside the central area. Okay, so later we'll take a look at where the central area is, but in the past, right, the average size of a dwelling unit in a condominium, right, was 70 square meters. So how do you get the number of units that you can build in a development if you're a developer? What you do is that you actually take the allowable gross plot ratio, okay, so multiply by site area, which is the GFA that you can build. So the area that you can build divided by 70 square meters, that is the number of dwelling units that you can build in the past. So if you take a look at a lot of the developments now, right, the average size of one unit, right, is approximately about 70 square meters or 700 plus square feet. So you can see most of the units that are being built currently, you take a look at most of the developments, generally, right, the 2 bedroom units form a bulk of the units available. Okay, so in the past, right, if you build like a shoebox unit, maybe 45 square meters, then you must compensate by building another large unit so that the average size of the units, right, are 70 square meters. So what happens now is that URA is saying that, okay, 70 square meters is too small. What we're going to do is that the average size of a dwelling unit is 85. So now what happens is that the maximum number of dwelling units per development, how you get that is that you take the area that you are allowed to build, the gross plot ratio multiplied by site area, the GFA that you're allowed to build as a developer, divided by 85 square meters. So if you take a look at this, right, the average size of the development, right, actually increased by more than 20%. Okay, so now on the average, right, a unit size has to be 85 square meters. Okay, and 85 square meters, right, okay, because we're quite used to square feet, right, so you take 85 multiplied by 10.764, that's actually 914.94 square feet. Okay, so now the URA is saying that come January 17, right, the average size per unit in the new condominium has to be 914.94 square feet. Okay, and that in some cases is actually a 3 bedroom unit in a development. Okay, so this is actually the central area map. So this area, right, is not does not need to follow URA's guidelines. It has previously, it did not follow. The new guidelines came out, it also does not need to follow. So if you buy anything around this area, right, any new development, right, this area, the developments can be made out of many shoebox units as well. Okay, but these are all in the central area. So what URA is trying to do, right, is that they're trying to keep the non-central areas livable. So because like from where I stay in District 19. If I want to drive along Upper Serangoon Road towards maybe Jalan Besar, I will be faced with extremely heavy traffic during peak hours, and I'll definitely be caught in a jam. So personally for me, right, I feel that these guidelines are here to make the development more pleasant, okay? Because there are really too many developments in Kovan, Hougang area. In my opinion, there's a glut there. Okay, Kovan, Hougang, Punggol, Sengkang, the area, really a lot of developments, a lot of HDB units, a lot of condominiums. If you guys are driving, you will understand what I mean, that you have to face a jam almost every single day during peak hour. Okay, so central area, where is everyone going? Everyone's going towards the central area. So of course the central area, right, I guess they leave it, they don't put these guidelines there, mainly because down there land is very expensive. So I guess small units, right, more affordable, tenants also maybe only looking for a 1 bedroom unit. Okay, but in places like non-core central areas, I mean, mostly we are buying for own stay. Okay, so next, right, they actually extended the number of areas whereby the stricter guidelines of an average unit size of 100 square meters will apply. Okay, so in the past, right, there were a few areas, namely the Katong, Telok Kurau, Kovan area, and Eunos area, these 4 areas, whereby the average size per dwelling unit was actually 100 square meters. So now what happens is that URA took a look at where, you know, there were a lot of congestion and everything, and then they actually extended the number of areas whereby these stricter guidelines will apply. So now currently, right, if you are going to buy a unit in Marine Parade, Joo Chiat, Mountbatten, Telok Kurau, Jalan Eunos, Balestier, Stevens, Chancery, Pasir Panjang, Kovan Hausan, Shelford, Loyang, these are the areas whereby the stricter guidelines will apply. I happen to be staying, well, not in any of these areas, but bounded by this Kovan Hausan area, staying quite near, and I can actually tell you that it is really, really very congested during peak hours. And one of the main reasons is that there are really a lot of developments that I mentioned before. So this is something good. So they are actually taking a look, and these areas have a lot of congestion. The infrastructure is not there to support so many units. So the stricter guidelines actually apply to these areas. So on the average, right, per unit there, right, has to have 100 square meters, right? So 100 times 10.764. So the average size per unit, right, is 1076 square feet. Okay, so you imagine if you are a developer and you build a shoebox unit of, let's say, 45 square meters, right, then you jolly well, the next, to make up that shortfall, right, you have to build a rather large unit so that you can get this average size of 100 square meters. Okay, okay, so next, right, the third guideline is that there's actually allowance for indoor communal spaces. So this is actually bonus GFA. So the developers, right, they may build indoor recreation spaces like gyms, function rooms, reading rooms, that apply for them to be counted as bonus GFA. So if you build this, right, this bonus GFA is something given to them. Okay, so this maximum bonus GFA is capped at 1% of total residential area. So if let's say your total residential area is I don't know, maybe I don't know, 400 square meters, okay, then you get an additional 4 square meters to build this type of indoor recreation spaces. Okay, then the next is the guideline for balconies. So in the past, right, the bonus GFA cap for balconies, right, was actually 10%. So this cap is actually lowered to 7%. So the total balcony area for each unit will be capped at 15% of the net internal area. So if your net internal area is 100 square meters, right, then your balcony, right, maximum 15 square meters only. So the balconies must have a minimum width of 1.5 meters. So now currently you see your balcony, some of them, they are very narrow. So like you can't even put a chair. So the minimum width of the balcony must be 1.5 meters so that at least the balcony become usable areas. I've been to some condominiums, right, whereby the balcony space, right, is just one really, really long strip, like a I don't know, look like a French fry. Okay, if you take a look at the floor plan, it looks like a French fry, like 薯条, you know. So small little line there, and then it's not useful because when you open up, right, you step outside also you won't use the area. You can't even put a table, you can't even put a chair there. So it becomes not so useful. So now the balconies, right, if you want to build a balcony as a developer, right, you must have a minimum width of 1.5 meters. So at least the balcony has some use. Okay, so what is the expected impact? This is actually to answer the question which this person actually posed to me. Okay, then what's the expected impact? Of course, this is actually expected, so we don't know. These are cooling measures. We can only guess what will happen moving forward. Okay, so the most obvious one, right, is that the increase in per square foot prices of new developments may be moderated. Okay, why is that so? Because now currently, right, how the developers sell the properties to buyers is that they actually sell the smaller shoebox units. So they sell the smaller shoebox units at high per square foot prices. So if let's say I can tell you that, my PSF, right, for a one bedroom unit in maybe Paya Lebar, okay, can go up to 2,000 per square foot. And you can actually check the URA caveats lodge on URA website. One bedroom unit in Park Place Residences has already crossed 2,000 per square foot. Okay, so how do they do it? The unit is very, very small. So when the unit is very small, the affordability is there. So even if you price the unit at 2,000 per square foot, right, but your unit is, let's say, like 400 square feet, right? So it's 800,000. So 800,000 still less than 1 million. Maybe some people will think, oh yeah, so still quite okay, I can afford. But what happens now if you build this 400 square foot unit? You have to compensate in building a very, very large unit already to make sure that the average size of the units, the dwelling units, right, will be 85 square meters because they already increased by 20%. So this uh, this building of shoebox units, right, will be moderated. So the developer will think, if I build a shoebox unit, right, I have to compensate by building another very, very large unit just to make sure that I get this shoebox unit out in my plans. Okay, so the increase in per square foot prices, right, will be moderated because the developer has to build larger units. When they build larger units, right, the affordability becomes lesser. So maybe a one bedroom unit next time, if you take a look at the average average dwelling unit size, right, will increase by maybe 20%. So if you increase by 20%, right, then I cannot build a 500 square feet unit and then charge you 2,000 per square foot, and then it will be $1 million. So $1 million, and then after that, it's actually a quite substantial increase over, like, in the past when I'm sending you like maybe 800,000 for one bedroom in Park Place Residences. Okay, so essentially, right, the consequent impact will be that en bloc sales should be dampened to a very large extent in the near future. Okay, so there were a lot of people, or a lot of developments were hoping for to go en bloc, to sell en bloc. There were talk of, like, it hitting like 1 billion, 1.4 billion, people asking for really, really high amounts of money for those larger developments. And then we were all thinking that, developers actually had the appetite and the property market was going to be very buoyant and the developers were going to come in strong throughout the year. People are predicting that property prices will rise by I don't know how much for the whole of 2018, but that doesn't seem to be the way it is anymore. So if let's say the developers have to price their per square foot pricing a little bit lower, then they cannot pay such high prices for these developments. They cannot go out there and pay top dollar to en bloc large development. Okay, so and then homeowners, right, the people who are putting their properties up for en bloc, right, they want to be paid a very, very good price to vacate. And then now currently, right, when the developers' margins are being squeezed, so en bloc sales should be dampened as well. if it was not already dampened by the cooling measures earlier in the year. Okay, so the next expected impact is that there's going to be better living environments in future condominiums. One of the reasons is actually the bonus GFA. So moving forward, when you go and buy a condominium, right, there's going to be more open spaces. So developers can build bonus GFA. They can build more communal spaces like larger function rooms, more function rooms, reading rooms, libraries, gyms, a larger gym. So there's going to be better living environment in future condominiums. And also, right, if you take a look at the ruling for the balconies and and the guidelines for how wide the balcony should be, right? Then you're going to see less developments with really huge balconies, or you're going to see fewer developments whereby they put a small slider of a balcony outside every single room, but the balcony actually doesn't do anything, and you can't even put a table there. So if they're going to give you a balcony, it's going to be a usable balcony, and if they're going to build balconies, it's not going to be so huge such that it's going to take up a substantial amount of your of the square feet that you actually pay for the development. So you're going to get better units in future condominiums after the new guidelines come into place on 17th of January 2019. Okay, so a lot of people are saying that the current shoebox units will become rare. Okay, but my take is that just because something is rare doesn't equate to high demand and increase in prices. Okay, the main reason why URA is actually stopping this or trying to curb the number of shoebox units is that they feel, and previously the government already warned Singaporeans that shoebox units are for a very, very niche type of buyer, very niche type of household, and the number of tenants that actually demand for these shoebox units, right, they're not going to be very high. And in my experience, right, I've had some friends, some clients who have bought shoebox units, and then when they dispose of the shoebox units, right, it's very difficult to dispose of them because the type of people who want to buy them are going to be like one single person, and then even then the single person may demand a 2-bedroom unit rather than a 1-bedroom shoebox unit. And for those people who bought shoebox units maybe in this past year, right, you most probably paid a very, very high price for your shoebox unit. And then moving forward, right, when property prices are tapering lower, even if your shoebox unit is going to be rare, I seriously do not think that you are going to sell your shoebox unit for 2,200, 2,400 per square foot. So my take is that even though a lot of people are saying that shoebox units will become rare, unless you really want a shoebox unit because of your lifestyle, then you purchase one. Okay, and one thing is that because I also deal with overseas properties, so like I deal with properties in Bangkok, and I normally tell my clients that they will ask me, can I rent a 1-bedroom unit in Bangkok? Then I'll tell them, yes, you can. The main reason is because in Bangkok, when the foreigners come to Bangkok to work, they don't bring their family members over. One of the main reasons is that the education standard in Bangkok is not generally high. So if they're coming from UK, they'll leave their families in UK, and after that, their children will get educated in UK, and they'll come here, they'll come to Bangkok and work. And once they are done, they actually go home. But Singapore is distinctively different from that. Our education system is very good, and our quality and standard of living is pretty high. So a lot of people, they come to Singapore to work, and they hope to make Singapore their home. Okay, so imagine if let's say you are saying, okay, I want to rent to an expatriate, or I want to rent to somebody. Okay, anyway, expatriates, there are very, very limited expatriates out there already. Expatriate packages are becoming more and more rare. Generally, right, imagine if let's say a Filipino or an Indian national or Chinese national comes to Singapore to work. He brings his family here to study. will he rent your shoebox unit? Chances are he will want a larger unit. If he can't afford your shoebox unit because you are asking for 2,000 per square foot, $2,000 per month for rent for a shoebox unit, then he can always pay this $2,000 to somebody who's renting the HDB flat out, and he can get a lot larger space. Okay, so my take is that just because shoebox units are rare does not equate to high demand and an increase in prices. Okay, a good example will be there are certain models of cars which are really rare, but like I don't know, maybe off the top of my mind, maybe Hyundai Ioniq, which is a hybrid car. It is very rare, but it doesn't mean that it's rare, therefore the demand is very high. Okay, the main reason why it's rare is because there isn't a demand. So as compared to maybe a Toyota or Honda model, and therefore the manufacturer does not bring in so many of these models because that model is less popular. Okay, so what the government is trying to do is that they're trying to say that actually the demand for shoebox units is not that high. So they're trying to regulate and tell people not to put so much hope into making money from shoebox units. Maybe if you bought it way earlier, yes, you would have made money, but now currently, right, if you take a look at shoebox units, they are pretty hard to resell on the resale market. Okay, so the next, right, will be, in my opinion, right, expect unit sizes to become smaller because the average size of a unit is now 85 square meters, which is 900 over square feet. Okay, so in the past, right, when the average size is about 70 square meters, which is about two bedroom unit, right, developers actually built 2-bedroom units about 700 over square feet, and that's the average size. So now that URA has regulated the average size of a unit, right, imagine if let's say now the developer comes to you and says that, hey, I'm selling you a 3-bedroom unit for a very affordable price. Why bother buying anything else? Just buy my 3-bedroom unit because I'm selling it at really low price. Then after that, you can ask them, how come you sell the 3-bedroom unit at such a low price? Then you take a look, then the 3-bedroom unit will be like 70 square meters. Okay, so I would expect developers to be more creative, and then what they'll do, right, is that since you make the average size of the you make the average size of the dwelling unit larger, what they'll do is that they will actually shrink the unit. So in the past, right, they're going to tell you that, oh, it's affordable to buy a 2-bedroom unit because it's still less than $1 million. But now the 3-bedroom unit, right, they're going to make it really small. And then what they're going to do is that they're going to say, oh, take a look at my 3-bedroom unit. It's so affordable. But actually, if you take a look, the size has shrunk. So I'll expect the developers to be creative and make units even smaller, so that they can actually push out units that seem more affordable. Okay, so this is actually one of the impacts which I think may be a negative impact moving forward. Okay, and if number 5 actually happens, right, I would actually think that HDB flats will seem like a better option for buyers looking for a decent living space. Okay, so if you've been following the HDB market, HDB prices have been tapering down. There's a lot of hoo-ha about it being whether you own the flat or you are renting the flat. But like I've mentioned many times before, that is not an argument that I'm here to make. What I'm going to say is that if I'm here to purchase a property for a decent living space, and if I go out to the market and I see a 3-bedroom condominium with a size of about 75 square meters or 80 square meters, right, then after that, I will take a look and say, hey, why not I just buy a HDB flat, a 4-room flat of 90 odd square meters, right, would cost me maybe like just a fraction of that condominium price. Okay, and then essentially HDB flats, a lot of people may turn back to HDB flats because they seem like a better option. Okay, so this is what I think URA should do. Since they already have better guidelines, they put up these new guidelines, and they have guidelines to how big a balcony should be. I personally feel that URA can better improve the guidelines and limits, and actually what they can do is that they can actually push out guidelines to limit how small a certain space in a dwelling unit should be. Okay, because I feel that a lot of times when we go to these new developments, the bedroom is very, very small. And then a lot of times you can't even fit like a dressing table or a study table. So it's essentially just a bed and then the wardrobe and then that's it. So I personally feel that the room should be of a decent size and URA should have guidelines as to how small the developer can make the room become. If not, right, the developer is going to make the 3-bedroom unit 60 something square meters or so possible. Okay, so what I think is that URA, please take a look at this, give proper guidelines how large or how small a certain space should be. Please put out guidelines to how small a room, a master bedroom, a common room, or study room should be, living room, kitchen, all these need to have proper limits. If not, if you're going to just limit the average size of a dwelling unit, what the developer can do is that they can just make a 3-bedroom unit very, very small. They can make a 3-bedroom unit 85 square meters. They can even make a 4-bedroom unit 90 square meters. Why not? Okay, because a room is a room to them. It's just a door and 4 walls. So URA can provide better guidelines and limits to how small a certain space in a dwelling unit should be. But the main reason perhaps they are not doing it is that they don't see a need to do it so far, because developers in Singapore, well, generally most developers, they are rather responsible. They provide quite good developments. If you go around our neighboring countries, right, and then you compare to a lot of developments in Singapore, you actually see that our developers, they do a good job in building proper, livable and nice condominiums for home buyers. Okay, and next, right, will be actually to have better guidelines to ensure that the developers actually state the actual GFA, balconies and void areas. So a lot of times, right, buyers actually they buy and then they actually buy, they say, I bought a 1-bedroom unit for which is 450 square feet, and then they compare to the neighboring development, and then they see the neighboring development more expensive for the same size. But in actual fact, the main reason why the cheaper unit is there, right, is because most of the space is actually a balcony or a void area. So I mean, the developer already has all this information in the brochure and everything, but what I'm saying is that we should have better guidelines to ensure that developers openly state the actual GFA, the balconies and void areas, so that buyers, when they do a comparison, right, they can compare apple to apple, not just build-up area, because we are always selling on build-up area. So we are selling 1,000 square feet, but 1,000 square feet, we don't know how much is the balcony, how much is the void area, what's the actual GFA of the unit. So I would like the URA to actually have better guidelines in the developers' marketing materials. But like I mentioned, one of the main reasons why perhaps there isn't this guideline in place yet is that developers are still very responsible in being very transparent with whatever they're selling. But moving forward, this is something perhaps the URA can take note of, and yeah, and just observe where this new guidelines is going to take the market. Yeah, so this is my take on the expected impact of URA's new guidelines for new condominiums. Okay, this is Daryl here. Thanks for the question. You know who you are. And if you have any questions, do just drop me an email or a message, or just some have been sending questions through Facebook Messenger. I'm not so good on Facebook, but I'm learning. So if you send me a question on Facebook Messenger, I will try to reply it. Thanks for watching, and see you guys in the next video.